Hi everybody and welcome back to Abuti Rams Live, a show where we speak about everything entrepreneurship, business, marketing, finance and all these cool things that help us as young people who are entrepreneurs to really do well in our fields, wherever you are, wherever you're watching this this stream. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please like and share with other friends that you have so that we could spread the word about this opportunity. But today is no different, guys. We are sitting here with a beautiful and lovely lady who is within the marketing space by the name of Lebo Lion. Yes. Are you gonna roar today?
I might just roar. Depends on which questions you ask me.
Oh goodness, guys! So we have us Lebo here in the office just to speak about marketing. We want to learn more about marketing. We want to learn more about what the work that she does. But before we could even do that, Lebo, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to sit down with you. We know that it's a very expensive time, and we are paying it. We're gonna pay. Don't worry, one day. But for now, we thank you so much for giving us time to listen to your expertise that you have. Before we could do that, some people will be watching the channel and say, "But who's this lady? No, I haven't seen her before." But and they want to know who is Lebo. Can you share it just in 1 minute? Tell us about who's Lebo.
Okay, great. So, hi everyone out there. I am Lebo Lion SA, the voice of marketing, a speaker, podcast pioneer, and a strategist. So what I do is I make marketing important. I feel like for so long people have undermined this industry, and for me, marketing is everything. It's in everything that we do. It's in everything that we consume. So I'm the person, I'm the voice who's going to showcase African marketers and African talent to the world.
You spoke something very important, that marketing has been undermined.
Yes.
And I have a set of questions that I want to ask you around that. And how do you feel about brands that neglect this most important element, which is marketing in their companies, whether there's big businesses or even small businesses? Because I've seen it is a trend between all these different levels of companies. So why do they neglect marketing, and what do you think is the problem with that?
I think you've asked a very important question, because it's the crux of why I exist online and why so many people might know me if they're watching this. And when you look at the world and you look at America and you look at Europe, the companies that are pioneering now are tech companies, right?
Sure.
So they don't actually, it's not a physical thing that they're selling. They're not selling a product. They're not really necessarily selling a service.
Sure.
They're selling an idea. They're selling community.
Yes.
You are the person who actually makes the platform great, right? So when you think about how tangible what they're selling is, it's not really that tangible.
Okay.
It's almost like a bubble, right? So what makes it real? It's marketing.
It's marketing.
Marketing is what makes these intangible things real. It's what creates value in everything that we see in society, right? So if you're a company that doesn't value marketing, what you're saying is, I don't value adding value to the people who consume what I have to offer.
Yeah.
And that's problematic. So on top of looking at that, and you're looking at African companies, you're saying, okay, if you guys aren't valuing marketing, what you're saying is you're not globally competitive.
Sure.
You're not comparing yourselves to what other companies are doing across the globe, which means you're saying African companies can only work in Africa and they can only succeed in Africa, which is false. Talent can succeed anywhere, ideas can succeed anywhere. So that's the one problem. And the other is you're saying African customers and the African market don't matter enough for us to invest in creating value in the things that they purchase and consume. And that is problematic, because I think even the spirit of Ubuntu, and I think it's a continental thing, an African thing of Ubuntu. We should all want to, from the bottom of our hearts, from our sincerest places, want to give our brothers and sisters the best of what we have to offer. So if you're not investing in marketing, you're not investing in our people, and that's a problem.
And what are these components of marketing that are very critical to, the business? What are these components of this market?
That's a very tricky question, actually, because, for the past couple of weeks, take me back to school. For the past couple of weeks, actually, I've been making threads.
Okay.
Marketing is not PR, marketing is not advertising,
Sure.
And the reason why I've been making those threads is because during lockdown, I've been doing Zoom consultations with startups, right?
Sure.
And the one thing that I keep getting from them is that they don't know what marketing is, right? So we can talk about the components, but if somebody doesn't even know what we're talking about,
the difference
it's like, then where are we?
Then we have marketing, we have advertising,
we have
sales,
PR,
we have PR.
So many things.
What is the difference between this?
Right?
Because normally we confuse marketing with sales.
Yes, exactly. So for me, marketing is the process of adding value for your customers. and adding value in the organization, right? Sure. And I think a lot of people think that marketing is advertising, so it's the adverts that you see. Okay. It's the posters that you see, that people think that's what marketing is, and it's not. But it's a product of the process of adding value. Oh, so advertising is the process, is a product of the process of what marketing does. Oh, okay. Sales is a product of the process of what marketing does. So to make that simple for entrepreneurs who don't actually understand what I mean by adding value. So marketing, this is going to be very controversial because a lot of people don't understand this, but marketing is the packaging on your product. That's marketing. So the entire design of that product, packaging, that's marketing. Yeah. The fact that you have a storefront in Sandton, that's a marketing strategy, positioning. Sure. Where are you putting your offering? Where do people see it? That's marketing. We have the 7 P's of marketing. So people tend to focus on the 1 P, which is promotions, which will also include things like design, advertising, but they don't focus on the other P's, right? Which is like placements, packaging, price. So pricing strategies are not a financial function. They're actually a marketing function. Marketers are the people who come up with the pricing for products because we understand how our customers see value. What is on the market? Exactly. So if I know, mothers buy Cocoa Pops when at 12 p.m. when they're shopping with their child, and they usually buy this product when it's next to a more expensive one, so we should price this product like this. You know, that's marketing. Sure. And so it goes back to that tweet we were talking about how I said that if a product doesn't have great marketing, it can't succeed. So you'd rather have a mediocre product, but great marketing. And what I mean by that is you'd rather have a product that is placed well in a store. Okay. You'd rather have a product that has good packaging, that's eye-catching. You'd rather have a product that has good pricing than just a great product. Because if you've just got a great product, who's going to know anything about it? Who's going to know what value it has? And where you're positioning it, so where you're putting it, how you're pricing it, all of those things communicate the value. And so that's what makes people perceive what your offering is worth. It's not just the product. I can't tell which orange is worth more between a Pick n Pay and a Woolworths one. But put it in a Woolworths package, put it in a Woolworths store, I'll definitely pay 30 Rand for that orange. But when I go to Pick n Pay, I'll want to pay 10 Rand for it. Because that's the marketing they've done for it, where they put it, you know. Even something random like McDonald's. So one of McDonald's most prized marketing strategies is actually the fact that they placement, so they geographical placement. Okay. Usually when you find a McDonald's, it will be on a big piece of land at the corner of a very busy place. That's one of their marketing strategies, actually. So if you want to invest in a McDonald's as a franchisee, that's one of the things you have to do. You have to show them that the land that you want to build the McDonald's on works as part of their marketing strategy. You see, because most of the money that McDonald's makes is actually from the value of their property and how they use the property more than it is about the burgers. And guys, that is marketing, you know? So you need someone like me who's going to say, okay, you want to sell services and you want to price them in a high-end category. You need to be in this place in Sandton. You need to be wearing this. You need to price it like this. You need to be speaking on these radio interviews. All of that, the 7 Ps, how we mix them, the marketing mix, is what creates value. And it allows things like sales, advertising, PR to work.
You speak about marketing, and I've noticed that there is these 2 parts, and they're competing right now, which is traditional marketing and the new one, which is the digital marketing. Right? Which of the 2 works for which type of companies, traditional or digital marketing? Because I want to ask you this question based on content marketing. Okay. Because content marketing is something that right now a lot of people are talking about, that, you know, I'm a content creator, I'm a content, you know, and all that, I'm an influencer and whatnot. By the way, I'm also an influencer for other brands anyway. But content marketing is something that was developed in the 18th century, by the way. And with content marketing, you had you know, the different levels as it grew from the 50s to the 70s, you know, how Coca-Cola used it for different ways, how Red Bull now came with the other ways as well, and then how newspapers were displaying their content, right? So that it can be appealing, but it is to actually captivate the audience and to make sure that that audience understands what the product is about and all the service is about, but most importantly, what the brand is all about. Traditional marketing and digital marketing, which works right now for which companies?
So anyone who knows what I'm about knows that I'm all about tech. And I'll always choose digital marketing over traditional marketing. But let's not get this twisted. I don't think that they are evil stepsisters, marketing and digital marketing, traditional marketing. I think they actually, like they complement each other.
Okay.
So if you've got a really broad, comprehensive strategy, you're going to have both. It only makes sense to have both, especially on the African continent where onboarding onto the digital space is still, something that's new. People are still trying to get online.
Yeah.
We even have things like load shedding. So you could be smart. You could have that smart business where you're doing Zoom consultations, this and this. Then Eskom, ruins your idea, and then you have to go back to the traditional way of doing things. So I think on the African continent, we need a mix of both.
Okay.
But I really urge entrepreneurs, especially if you've got a small budget, to invest in digital marketing. Why invest in digital marketing? It's actually very, very simple. I don't think people understand how powerful the online space is, right? I think for me, the most important thing about online is the reach, Okay. So I can be Lebo in Johannesburg, sitting in this office right now, and I can reach you and everybody in this room selling my product. But when I'm online, I can reach anybody in the world, right?
Sure.
So it means that you are not restricted to the confines of your environment, right? Your customer can be anybody in the world, which means that you're also not restricted in the kind of innovations and products you can offer the market. Because just because people in Africa don't want to buy it doesn't mean people in America don't want to buy it.
Definitely.
So anybody now can be an entrepreneur because they can reach their customer who is anywhere in the world. And that's the most important thing. And one thing that I also love about the online space is the democratization of access to things and who becomes what. So a lot of people in the marketing space don't like me because they feel like, but who is this girl? She just came out of nowhere. We don't really know her. And I came out of nowhere because I've been online. Literally, I've been sharing my expertise online, I've been sharing my knowledge and opinions online. And so I've rallied a community around my ideas, right? And people don't understand that what makes brands great is their communities, not necessarily how much money the brand has, not necessarily how many friends the brand has, At the end of the day, I think digital is an equalizer.
Sure.
You have to come as you are and you fight those battles online and the person who's the best at it wins, and that's also why I've been able to build my brand because I have a community rallying around my idea.
Sure.
International communities, even for my podcast. We've been on the top 100 iTunes lists ever since I released the second podcast.
Wow, congrats
so
on
we're
that.
there next, thank you. We're there next to Gary Vee. We're there next to Neil Patel.
That's
all of these marketing experts around the world. I'm there competing with them on these lists,
Shine
right?
on, sister.
So thank you very much. So I think that's what digital helps you do. It helps you to showcase your product in the way that's the most optimal for you. So you can create your own narrative, and I think that goes into content marketing. You get to decide what your narrative is, and what we mean by that is you get to tell and create the story of what your brand or product or offering is about. And that's important. What people don't realize is that in Africa especially, advertisers and media have driven the identity of so many brands because they're the biggest mouthpiece. Like if radio will tell us what's cool, TV will tell us what's cool, and they will frame a person the way that they want the person to be seen, right? And it's not always ideal, which is why you'll get sometimes that people will spend money on radio advertising, but they don't get any returns because the radio decided to make that ad in a way that actually doesn't suit the product. But now you don't have to rely on that because you can literally access that 1 million people through your Instagram page, showing yourself exactly the way that you want to be seen and heard. And that is power. And that's why advertisers are getting very scared. That's why South African companies will tell you digital doesn't matter because it's a direct competitor for them because they don't want to invest in this idea of if we feed the community, which is the people, then we feed our brand. What they want to do is we want to feed ourselves and somehow the community will just be fine and they'll do whatever we tell them.
Let's never stop there. You're going deeper.
It's the truth, And I was saying to someone, sorry, just to end that. I think just to not make it so controversial, I was saying in most markets, there's a lot of competition. So there's an idea of I must pitch my thing to the market and they'll tell me if they like it. But what you get in South Africa is this idea of this arrogant autonomy that a lot of brands seem to have where they say, we're going to make this and they're going to buy it, And that's why they don't want to invest in marketing as well because they're not asking people. They're saying, we're making this and we're the only ones here. So you're either going to take it or you're going to leave it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the problem. And that's why we can't value marketing, because people don't believe that they have to ask the customer what they want and sell them what they want.
Speaking about numbers, I had you mention in big numbers there that, you know, you're part of, you know, those top 100 and whatnot. There is this thing about, you know, digital marketing that I have discovered that people think that it's the numbers that matter.
Your social media numbers.
Your social media numbers matter. Guys, I'm an influencer. I don't have millions of followers, but I'm an influencer. Every week I get paid. I get paid for influencing, you know, these different brands. And I think you've seen some of the adverts that I've put up. And I think it's really saddening to see young people who don't understand what marketing is about. They just, because they said some really nasty stuff to people and people followed them and they have big numbers, they think they already are marketers. That's the thing. I'm really offended because some of us went to school for these things, right?
Yeah.
Do numbers matter in brands?
Well, let me put it this way. Being a driver doesn't make you a mechanic, right? So being an influencer doesn't make you a marketer.
Ouch.
But you can be an influencer who understands marketing in the same way that a driver can understand his car and be able to fix certain things if they break. But the driver can never build the car, right? And the influencer could never head a marketing agency just because they know how to be an influencer.
No, definitely.
You get what I'm trying to say? And I think that's
they need to develop marketing strategies, and that's where we come in.
Exactly. Yep. So they don't understand that. They don't even understand those 7 P's of marketing I was talking about, where I was like, but what if I'm the marketer who's just invested in product development, right? That has nothing to do with digital anything. It's got nothing to do with social media. I'm just a person who sits in a company and all I help them do is come up with different products. But I'm a marketer. Do you hear what I'm trying to say? So marketing and influencing are very different things, and I think people are just getting it confused because it can seem like the same thing. Because they have to be integral parts of the strategy to make it work, right? And so they get it confused, and I think the public gets it more confused than the influencers, because the influencers know what they're there to do. But sometimes the public just sees Mihlali and then they go, okay, Mihlali can be a marketer, you know. I remember watching an IG live where somebody was talking to Lasizwe and they're like, you can be Minister of Arts and Culture. I'm like, no. That's a portfolio that actually needs strategy, understanding the numbers in South Africa. So I think just generally our culture in Africa, which is very strange to me, is undermining art, is undermining marketing, it's undermining things like that.
The creative space,
if I was in charge of the country, I would sell our talent. I would sell our musical talent. I would sell our dancing. I would sell all of that, the culture. Because I think our culture is our greatest competitive advantage. And I think if we sold that, more people would want to come to Africa and respect it and work with it and build it and help it grow. But because people are selling what other countries are selling to us, to them, there's no value in that, you know. If Germany's already making cars, why are we selling cars to Germany? Why are we selling a high-end lifestyle to Germany if they created it? We can't sell something that someone else created back to them, you know.
Which also brings me to my other question: that is Brand SA as a marketing company for South Africa failing us? I asked you that question.
Oh Lord, Rams wants to put me in trouble.
I just put you on the spot.
Get me in trouble. Well, you know what? I think it's a very tricky question to ask, and not because I'm afraid to answer it, but I think a lot of the time what we don't understand is that what's happening in the business is not necessarily what we see on the ground. So sometimes you can find that there are companies where there are marketing teams that are hungry to make a difference. But then the person in charge says, no, that's not going to happen.
This one's going to fly.
Exactly. And then everybody thinks the entire team is responsible for what they're seeing. But you actually find that the final decision lies with somebody else. You know, as a marketer in an agency, sometimes you have a client, you say, client, this is what will work. And the client says, I don't care. I want Mabs Mamponyane and I don't care, and we're going to make it work, you know. But it's your agency that's put their name on this thing. So now you end up looking like you don't know what marketing is, but you actually do. But your client pays your bills. So you have to give them what they want at the same time if you're willing to. So I think with Brand SA, I can't necessarily say if they're doing a good job because I don't necessarily know who's making the final decisions, right? And what I've met online, the people I've met online, I mean, a lot of people who follow me are marketing managers. They work for different companies. They work for government institutions. A lot of them will say, you know, I'm struggling because I want to show my bosses this new way of doing things, or I want to show my bosses how to improve the strategy, but I am scared, or I feel like I'll our company culture doesn't allow that, you know. So I think in South Africa and the African continent, there's a sense of like a disconnect between the leadership, people who pay the bills, and the people who create the things that we see. So I think it's very tricky with that one.
Guys, if you're watching this, you know, wherever you are, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere else, you are watching Abuti Rams live in a conversation with our Lebo Lion, the controversial lady on social media. I just gave a new title. And we are continuing with the conversation here because we want to suck a lot of information from her because she knows a lot about marketing and we really want to learn so much about her. And if you are still watching, please subscribe, please click the like button, please share with your friends so they can be exposed to this information that we are sharing today. Lebo, back to you. Something that I wanted to ask you so much that, you know, recently we have a soccer team. I don't want to mention names, but they know themselves. They cried recently. They recently cried because of losing. You know, they've held the league for the longest of time, and unfortunately, and in the last minutes, because of some of us, we managed to snatch it from them. and the reason why I want to use this example is because marketing is very important, and you mentioned something about marketing that it is about, you know, adding value, you know, to your customers, you know, because your target market is the one that needs to be getting the value from this product or this brand, right? There are customers in this case in soccer are fans, soccer fans, right? And then the product here is Kaizer Chiefs producing results, right? And then there is the brand Kaizer Chiefs, which even collaborates with other brands. I don't want to mention name. They know the Purple Insurance Company. And I'm then saying that there is Kaizer Chiefs, the brand. There is supporters who needs the value to be added to them. And there is Kaizer Chiefs, the brand, which is thriving since 1996 as PSL came into, you know, where we are right now that we have PSL. Kaizer Chiefs has not won as many trophies as Sundowns in terms of the league itself, not other trophies when we're talking about the league. So, which means they haven't delivered in terms of service delivery, as you know, politicians say, yeah, we must do service delivery for our people. So they are the politicians actually who are not delivering service to their customers and adding value to their customers, which are the fans, who are diehard fans. And some of them, they cry. Some of them, they even burn their jerseys because of losing, right? Some of them, they make bets and they lose and they cry, right? And you said something very important, that there is the product, developing the product and working so much on the product. And you said that you'd rather have a mediocre product than to have a mediocre marketing strategy, which is going to produce the brand that is big, right? My question is, if the fans are not happy, the customers are not happy, which are the fans, the supporters are not happy with the product, which is winning leagues, right? How do you then make sure that the brand and the product matches and they are on the same level?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And when I tweeted about that, I said, it's better to have a mediocre product and good marketing than it is just to have a great product and no marketing, right? And a lot of people interpreted that as mediocre means bad. And mediocre just means average. Like, that's what mediocre means. So that's a good question. That's a good question. So I think what marketing does is it will take the average and make it extraordinary in the customer's perception and in their minds. Okay. And that's what people don't understand. I mean, if you look at even how Woolworths and Pick n Pay and all of those retailers source their products, a lot of them source it from the same farmers.
True.
But Woolworths is charging a much higher markup than your Pick n Pay and your Spars and your Checkers.
Sure.
So they're literally saying, I'm going to take this mediocre product. It's an average product. It's everywhere. You can find oranges anywhere. And they're just saying, we're going to add this value, this brand we've built, and make it more expensive and make it seem like it's worth more to the customer, right? So I think what people also don't understand with that whole conversation is there is an element of keeping your promise in your marketing messaging to your community. And when you don't keep your promise, then everything that you did to make your product seem like it's worth more to the customer is going to be lost. So if you're saying we are Pirates, we're great, I mean not Pirates, sorry, Kaizer Chiefs or whichever team.
We even forgot about it. You see, that's the thing, it's not performing.
Exactly. So whichever soccer team you say you are, part of your promise to the people is saying we're going to win, right? So if you're not winning, then you're not completing that customer experience that you promised them. And so you're failing in your marketing as a company if that's what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, performance matters. So if we're going to use the example of the orange must still not be rotten. It must still taste like an orange when I buy it from Woolworths. So if it's rotten and Woolworths says it's amazing, then obviously I'm not going to believe Woolworths anymore when I want to buy oranges from them. You know, so it's the same with the soccer team. Yes, you guys can have great marketing. You can tell us you're amazing. We can enjoy the soccer experience at the field, at the soccer stadium. But if you're not winning, then our customer satisfaction goes down, which means that your brand promise to us hasn't been met. And so as a brand, we're disappointed and we feel betrayed, remember? Because once you have things like soccer, people start to become their community. They start to become like the family of the brand, right? So the betrayal is deeper than me just buying a rotten product at Woolworths. You know, it's deeper because you invest your whole life. Your identity becomes about which soccer team you support. You know, so once a brand isn't keeping their promise to you, it's almost like they're failing who you present yourself to be in society as well. So these soccer teams really need to look at how they do their marketing. And also, obviously, you can't what's the word? Words are escaping me today. You can't promise people that you're going to win. You can't guarantee a win, right? But you can guarantee a good match. And I think sometimes what you're seeing with these soccer teams is, they're not winning, but also they're just playing really badly. You know, so the entire experience is horrible. Because then what am I there for? So give me something I can work with, and then maybe I can believe in your brand promise.
Talking about winning, this is the last question, second last question from you. Talking about winning, how can Clicks win and Tresemme win?
Lord.
I know you've been asked a lot of questions around this one.
I have been asked
How can they win differently? I don't want to go into what they got wrong. You know, how can they win different?
You know, I think it goes back to that whole brand promise we were talking about. And for me, it's going to come in organizational change. Because when they were exposed for what they did, people actually went into the company and they said, but your senior execs are this, and they don't represent the country. Oh, but your products are like this, and they don't actually represent the people who sell at your shops, right? So I think it even comes with who are the senior managers, who are the execs. Change that. Make it diverse. Show people, and actually come and show people and say, guys, we heard what you wanted from us and we've done it. We've got a more diverse exec. We've got a more diverse management team. And actually, if you look in our stores, we've got more South African products that are made by African people on our shelves, you know? And it's funny because in Africa, we're such a community-driven people, you know? Contrary to popular belief, in Africa, people want to support each other. We might not always have the means, but I really think that deep down, we all want to support each other in one way or another. So for me, it's a sense of if they've got the right entrepreneurs and products in that space, those entrepreneurs will drive their communities to Click shelves. And because they want to support that person who they care about so much, they'll start to go into the stores and start to perceive Clicks differently. So for me, it's a deep change. It's not necessarily changing a logo or having a nice ad. It's literally like changing how the organization runs. Do you have African people in your teams? Do you have products for African people? Is your service better? You know, they have to change those kinds of things and drive feet into the store through the products that they're placing on the shelves instead of through advertising, because those people will bring their communities back into the stores.
Proper. Lebo, there are young people who are watching this. Some of them, they're really establishing their brands and on social media and whatnot. I want to ask you, which is the last question too, is does a logo matter? Does a website matter? Is it a controversial thing even on social media? Because some people like
always going to be controversial.
Does a logo matter? Does a website matter? What can SMMEs do in order for them to compete with big brands? With the little things that they can have around them, especially the tools that they would have, like if it's a logo or whatever, it's a brochure or something like that.
So I think you've asked a really good question. Does the logo matter, right? For me, a logo is part of brand building, which is not necessarily marketing, right? Because those can be two different things. So the marketing is the adding the value. It means that I can still take a bottle of juice and not have any writing on it and still increase the price because I took this bottle of juice, I put it in Santon, and then I took a picture of DJ Spoo drinking the juice and it still doesn't have a name, right? And it can still be known, right? That's literally what marketing
so logo does not matter.
Not that it doesn't matter, but it depends. It depends on your strategy and what you're trying to achieve.
Okay.
So a logo is part of brand building, and that means that it's part of creating the identity of what you're trying to offer to people, right? So the logo only really matters if you're really sure about how you're positioning yourself in the market, who you want to be, what your identity is, and if you can keep that, because it also forms part of your brand promise, this logo of yours. So your logo will also communicate things like, what's my price? Where can you expect to find me? Things like that. And if you can't deliver on those things, then I think hold off on the logo a little bit and work more on the other parts of your marketing to make sure that they're working. So make sure that your product is always available. Make sure that your customer service online, when people DM you, that you're answering, you know. It's not always about the logo. And if you're looking at trends right now, especially with products, people are going bare. So what you're finding is people will take a glass bottle and let's say it has a pink lid and they'll write an O and that's the branding. Right? And that's cheap, guys. That's literally so inexpensive. So everything's going bare. Everything's going back to the basics because startups are growing. So the number of startups in the market are larger than ever before. So there are more people who are trying to start businesses now than ever before. And people are trying to find creative ways to make their businesses work and to sell their products. And so they're cutting costs on things like the branding, the logo. Instead of having a logo, you have an O. It's a logo, but it's not expensive because you're just taking a marker and you're writing the O and that's your brand, you know. And then what makes that brand valuable? How you market it, where you put it, who's drinking it, your customer service. And then all of a sudden it's cool just to have a bottle with a permanent marker O on it, you know. So for me, it's about really focus on creating value with your product.
Proper.
And then the value can make everything else that you do valuable, you know. It can make the logo make sense, but you really don't need to. Like, I swear to you, so many brands are going bare and I'm excited about it because I'm also starting new things. I'm always starting new projects and products. So I'm literally going in that bare direction. You don't have to have fancy packaging. You do not have to have fancy things, but just make sure that the story makes sense. And that you can deliver on whatever story you want to deliver or that you're promising your market. And then a website is the same thing. So for me, I feel like if you're an entrepreneur and you don't have funds, it's better for you to have a website than it is for you to try to get a storefront because rent is expensive and all the costs of having a physical space is really expensive. Whereas for a website is a one-time cost. So a website is your digital storefront. It's the same as having a shop outside, but it's online. And the wonderful thing about the digital storefront is that it reaches the whole world. www, World Wide Web means that your store is in accessible, the whole world. It's accessible to the whole world. Unlike if you just have a shop in Santon, and then what if your customers aren't there? Then you're paying for all of this rent. You're in a 2-year contract that you can't get out of. You're not selling. And it's actually quite funny. I used to work for a company that manages bespoke retail experiences, right? So what we do is we'd find different African brands from around the continent that sell clothes or whatever, and we put them into this beautiful space. So let's say we're in Hillbrow, but then we'll build like this beautiful space in Hillbrow and have marble floors and everything, and we just put entrepreneurs in there. I didn't agree with the strategy, but I was not in charge at the time. And it was funny because so many of the entrepreneurs who came in thought they needed shops. And I know a lot of them would sit in that space for 8 months, no sale. You know, and when we did our research, we found out that actually they were selling products, but because of the place we were in, we'd be in Hillbrow or wherever, but it's a high-end building, people would look and say, I don't belong there. You know, this is not a place for me, I can't afford. And the people who can afford are not there, and they're not going to drive to Hillbrow just to find a beautiful space where they can buy things, you know. So a lot of the entrepreneurs who eventually pivoted went online. And they were like, you know what, we can't afford this anymore. It's not working for us. They went online and boom, they were selling. And they became bigger brands. So for me, I think even if we're on the African continent, it makes so much sense to invest in an online presence. The www, your store matters because you can reach anybody and anybody can reach you and they can discover you. And investors right now are actually looking online. They're searching www. They're looking for businesses that are online. So make sure that you've got that digital and global presence, and it will open up opportunities for you.
Ooh,
and then the last question you asked me was?
No, it was that.
Okay.
How can they compete with the bigger brands? Because the bigger brands will have the stores, physical stores, but if they go online, they can compete.
And also, you don't always have to compete with the big brands. Sometimes our products are complements to what already exists. So if you are making bread, but you want to work with a butter company, Rama Margarine, they're already big company. So if you collaborate with them, then you get to leverage off of their finances and the teams that they have and their networks. But you're not competing with them because you sell bread and they sell Rama. So if you are an entrepreneur who has a product that's a complement to a big brand, approach them. Don't be afraid, because I think a lot of them are open to working with entrepreneurs. And it's a straight business deal. So it's not like they're going to rip you off. It's a contract. Read your contract. Read your contract. Read your contract. I can't say that enough. Read your contract. But I think there's real space and potential for collaborating with brands that sell things that are your complements, or complements to your product or complements to theirs.
Powerful. Wow. You guys, if you missed this session, I need you to rewind. Rewind. If you're watching this, you're going to rewind so that you could be part of this conversation. It's an important conversation we had about marketing. Thank you so much to our Lebo Lion. Please check her out, Lebo_.
So at Lebo Lion _SA, and it's LION, like the animal.
Yes. So please check her out on social media. Check her out in wherever she's speaking, whatever she's doing. She really has a whole lot of wisdom, and please book her. She's expensive, guys, and please, she needs money as we need money, as you need money. Please book her as well. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation, Lebo.
Thank you for
and the viewers at home, if you're watching it from your phone, relaxed here, but with the wisdom that we just shared with you, thank you so much for streaming and watching this episode of Abuti Rams Live. We're back with more episodes, interesting figures in the landscape of business who are going to be sharing a lot of wisdom with us. And I think you've seen with the previous episodes that we have done. If you haven't subscribed, make sure that you subscribe and also hit the bell icon so that you can get notified when we upload a new episode, and also share with your friends by hitting the share button and like a lot. Thank you so much. See you soon.